At the end of 2023, after years of playing the AD game, I was finally offered a Panda Daytona. It's now been over 2 years, and the question is it worth it? Would I do it all over again? Is the Panda Daytona really worth all the hype? What's up YouTube, I'm Christophershahin and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about my 2 years of ownership with this beautiful Rolex Daytona. I'll briefly touch on the specs of this watch just in case you're not familiar with this legend, but this video will mainly cover life with the Panda Daytona, what it's really like to own and wear this iconic watch, a durability check, how it's holding up to everyday wear and tear, and my 2-year verdict, my long-term thoughts, hype versus reality. So by the end of this video, you can decide for yourself if the Panda Daytona is worth chasing. And if you want an even deeper look at exactly what I had to spend dollar for dollar to be offered watches just like this Panda Daytona, I cover it all in my first episode of my new Against the Grain podcast. This new podcast format is intended for me to delve deeper into subjects that I don't normally talk about in my videos, but are topics that some of you may ask about. In episode 1, I detail my entire spend history. If you want to check out that video, get early access to videos just like the one you're watching, as well as many other members only videos, go ahead and click that join button. And shout out to everyone who's already become a member. You guys are directly helping the channel. You guys are helping me grow the channel. You guys are awesome. So thank you for everyone who's already become a member. Let's get into the video. Rolex Cosmograph Daytona reference 116-500LN, discontinued in 2023, this Daytona marked the biggest change in decades. Introduced at Baselworld in 2016, it arrived with a bang, bringing to market the first steel Daytona to feature a Cerachrome bezel. This model quickly lit the fuse on the modern steel sports hype. Widely praised for its classic proportions, this Daytona is no exception. Coming in at a diameter of 40 millimeters on paper, which measures more like a 38.5, it has a thickness of 12.2 millimeters and a lug-to-lug of about 47 millimeters. Comprised of Rolex's 904L stainless steel, it features a trip-lock crown, giving the watch 100 meters of water resistance. Inside beats Rolex's time-tested chronograph movement, caliber 4130. This movement powered the famed Daytona for over 2 decades, boasting its still impressive 72-hour power reserve and patented parachrome hairspring. So before I talk about my 2 years with my Panda Daytona, I want to talk about why I bought the Panda Daytona. What made me go after the Panda Daytona in the first place? Now, as loved as the Panda Daytona is, it's not for everyone, and for the longest time, it wasn't for me. The beginning of my watch journey was around the time when this exact reference was introduced, and I didn't want any part of this chase. I knew it was and still is the hardest steel sports Rolex to be offered at retail, so I never really bothered with the Daytona. It wasn't until I owned a few models, tried on the Daytona many times, and built a good relationship with my AD that the urge to go for the Daytona finally began to creep in. I could no longer deny why the Panda Daytona was a must-have. Its proportions, the case shape, the sporty white dial wrapped up in the coolest type of sports watch. So I began to ask myself, why not me? And it was from then on that I went hard after the Panda Daytona, starting in 2022 and most of 2023. Some of you may even remember my hashtag Panda a Day campaign on Instagram, where I made it my daily mission to post a hashtag Panda a Day until it was my Panda. And finally, in November of 2023, despite being discontinued earlier that year, I got the call for the 116-500LN Steel Daytona. What a day and what a journey. Now, 2 years later, what has it been like to own and wear this watch? Well, the way I wear this watch today is nothing like the first year of ownership. You see, the first year of ownership, I was definitely guilty of of babying this watch, especially if I knew that my day was gonna be somewhat of an ordinary day. Maybe I'm running errands, or I know I'm gonna mow the lawn that day, doing some chores, doing some housework. Definitely no Panda that day. Instead, I would always default to my Submariner out of familiarity. And because I didn't wear the watch as much those first few months, I didn't grow the attachment I thought I would. And that was the only period in which I can remember the Panda felt overhyped. It often even felt out of place in some situations. I remember that first year of ownership, I toyed around with the idea of the Panda being my one and done. You guys know I really love the idea of a one and done. I even started a series called One and Done. If you haven't checked it out, I have 3 episodes out right now. So I toyed around with the idea when I got the Panda Daytona. Why can't this be my one and done? So I took it on a trip that summer to South Lake Tahoe. I took it as my one watch. This has got to be my one and done. It's got to do everything. I took it hiking. I went to the lake. I was swimming. Took it out to dinner that night, and it just felt off. I don't know exactly what it was. It was just so shiny at that time. It just didn't feel as rugged as my GMT, definitely not my Submariner. But the reality was it looked great and handled all of those situations just fine. It was all in my head. I just needed to wear the watch more. I think sometimes the Daytona, especially in steel, is treated like this because of just how hard it is to get and how much the secondary value demands. It's a lot like how a Porsche 911 GT car is at its core a sports car, but you'll mostly see them valeted at the fanciest restaurants and hotels, and the same with the Daytona. It mostly lives in watch boxes and safes. But like the 911 GT cars yearn to be driven hard on pavement, the Daytona comes alive on wrist when you let it become a part of you. And that's all it took. After a year of wearing it more, I naturally saw the watch get a scratch here and there, and it completely changed the way I wore this watch. So much so that this past year, 2024, it was my most worn watch by far. I've grown so attached to this watch that I decided last year to have it engraved with my initials, which is the first time I've ever gotten my initials on any watch. And I really love seeing those initials get that lived-in look, those scratches just like the rest of the watch. I can imagine this watch in 50 years' time, my watch, with those initials, hopefully on one of my kids' wrists. That's the magic. The Panda Daytona has been the first watch I've owned that has this slow burn, and I think that's part of the reason it's misunderstood. There's no doubt the hype for this model outweighs the watch's initial impression. That's because it's a watch you fall for more the more you wear the watch. So purely wearing the watch more has made me go from babying the watch to now feeling bold enough to put it on something like this NATO style strap. If you asked me a year ago if I'd ever put my Daytona, my baby, on something like a NATO strap or any strap, I would have said, no way am I gonna risk scratching up my watch just to experiment with some straps. But that mindset shift is one of the factors that changed my relationship with this watch. Listen, bracelets are great, especially Rolex bracelets, but sometimes you want your tool watch to actually tool. Once I stopped worrying about keeping it so perfect, the Daytona opened up. It stopped being precious and started being versatile. That's where straps like these came in. Single and double pass straps are some of the most secure, comfortable, and practical ways to wear your watch when you're actually moving through life. I've always liked the ease of use, the rugged feel, and the peace of mind, especially knowing that if a spring bar fails, the watch stays on your wrist. These are from Blue Shark straps, and what I like about them is that they offer different thicknesses and styles that actually work on a watch like the Daytona, which has pretty tight tolerances. For the Daytona, I prefer their thinner, more modern options, either the Alpha Premier, or for an even slimmer look, you can opt for the Nautilus One single pass. They don't add too much bulk, they sit flat, and they let the watch feel sporty without feeling costumey. I still like the thicker, more traditional NATO style like this Alpha Shark in Army Green, but those live on watches like my Speedmaster. But on the Daytona, lighter and cleaner just works better. Plus, I love the premium feel of the nylon on the Alpha Premier and Nautilus One. It suits the elegant Daytona beautifully. The big takeaway here, it isn't the strap itself, it's what the strap represents. Once I was comfortable changing the strap, putting a few scratches on the case, and just wearing the watch hard. That's when the Daytona really clicked for me. And if you want to experiment with straps on your own, check out bluesharkstraps.com. Use my discount code C-Negroni, get 15% off your entire order. I've tried a lot of straps over the years. These are right up there with the best. Tons of variety, different sizes, textures, colors. They go well beyond these double or single pass styles as well. They offer cordura, leather, rubber, ventilated versions, perforated versions. If you've got a tool watch, there's a strap ready to do some tooling. Visit bluesharkstraps.com. Back to the Daytona. Let's talk about the durability over my 2 years of ownership of this Rolex Daytona. So over the past 2 years, and especially this last year, I really put the watch through its paces. It went from a special occasion watch to recently serving as my snowboarding companion. I would never have worn it snowboarding that first year of ownership. I'd be so paranoid of scratching it or falling and doing some serious damage to the watch, which I definitely fell a few times recently with this watch on, and I'm happy to report I may have gained a few bruises, but the watch is just fine. When I first received the watch, it ran a bit slow, about -2 on the range of its daily variability, but as I've worn the watch more, somehow it runs better now. I think it's either running right on time or about -1 a day. It's pretty negligible. And that's despite me running the chronograph constantly, wearing it in the water all the time, oceans, lakes, hot tubs. The Panda has seen it all, and it just keeps ticking. Not only that, but being a content creator, I'm constantly playing with the hands. You know how you always see the hands at 10:10, that goofy thing we like to do to give it those smiley hands? I'm guilty of it, and that's gotta be extra wear on the watch. And yet the time is always spot on. Rolex chronograph movements have proven to be some of the most reliable in all of watchmaking. It's a real testament to the 4130 movement and why Rolex stuck with this movement for so long. Now the watch case and bracelet have taken a similar beating, and to me they still look wonderful. The polished nature of the case still has a nice mirror to it when you clean it off, and the bracelet with its brushed and polished edges have held up equally awesome. I think now that the entire watch has this layer of light scratches and even its share of scuffs on the bracelet, which annoyingly one of the worst scuffs I've got was from this shot, not even from me wearing it. The scratches on the Daytona, they make the Daytona look better. I don't know what it is about Rolexes with the high polish and the PCLs, the polished center links on the bracelets, but they need to be scratched up. They need to be lived in to fully appreciate the watch. You know, it looks so much better now. In a way, I think it looks better than a Submariner all scratched up, you know, with its all brush look, or the Explorer. I used to really love the all brush look because I used to think, oh, it's gonna hold up better to scratches, you know, but when I see an all polished watch like this with the PCL, you know, the GMTs with the PCLs and they're all scratched up, I don't know, it kind of looks better to me. Maturing is realizing PCLs is better than brushed. I don't know, it just looks so much better now. It suits the watch better now. It now looks like the true sports timing chronograph that it is. Even though all I really time are, you know, my kids' screen time, or maybe boiling eggs, you know, parking. I'm no race car driver. So after 2 years, the Panda Daytona has become my go-to watch. It lives on my dresser, my constant token I reach for to start and end my day. There are very few watches that can compete with its style, proportions, and sporty nature. What you'll begin to realize when owning and wearing a Panda Daytona is that it constantly presents you with a common problem. The problem is when you wear the watch, it's such a great watch, does just about everything you need it to do, that when you choose to wear any other watch, it's almost always flawed in comparison. Whatever else you choose to wear maybe doesn't hit as hard, doesn't dress up as well, isn't as durable. It'll lack the water resistance, or it won't carry that same watch enthusiast cachet and hype we all secretly desire. That's something extra that makes you feel special. So you're always wishing you just wore your Panda. It's as close as perfect as a watch gets. So, yes, the Panda Daytona was indeed worth the hype. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you liked the video, become a member of the channel. Episode 2 of Against the Grain coming soon. You're not gonna wanna miss that. Thanks for watching. I'm Christopher Shahin, signing out.